2022 has been one hell of a year for scary movies, so I've thrown together this short list of some of the movies that 2023 is bringing. Let's get right to it. In 1830, Detective Augustus Landors is sent to investigate a series of murders at the U.S. Military Academy in West Point. And who's his budding sidekick? Edgar Allan Poe, obviously. The movie stars Christian Bale as Detective Landor and Harry Melling as a young Edgar Allan. The director Scott Cooper, this is the third time he's worked with Bale after Out of the Furnace and Hostiles in 2017. Cooper's most recent scary flick was 2021's supernatural horror Antlers, which got mixed reviews because it's a horror movie. The Pale Blue Eye was released in select theaters December 23rd, meaning they showed it to a handful of snobs in a couple of art house theaters, and it's hitting Netflix on January the 6th for the rest of we regular folk. James and M. Foster are enjoying an all-inclusive vacation on the island of La Toca, which isn't a real place. I looked it up. When an accident reveals the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horror. Sign me up! The movie stars Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth, so if nothing else, we're at least guaranteed some decent acting. It's written and directed by Canadian Brandon Cronenberg, who also brought us 2020 sci-fi psychological horror Possessor. Apparently, Robert Pattinson was originally offered the lead in this movie, but he said no. Maybe he was still feeling too brooding and glum from the Batman. Infinity Pool is premiering at the 2023 Sundance Film Festival, which begins January 19th. Then it's releasing January 27th in the US on Neon. There's not a lot available yet in terms of premise, but we do know Maxine takes place in 1985. It picks up after the events of 2022's X, and it focuses on Maxine, who was the sole survivor from the slasher hit. This will be the third in Ty West's trilogy, with its predecessor being 2022's Pearl. If you've seen X or Pearl, you know Mia Goth's really made this thing her own. You also know that Ty West really knows what he's doing, so it's probably not a big surprise that Mia Goth is serving as executive producer on this final installment. There's no official skinny on the release date yet, but there is a short teaser available from A24, and I've stuck the link in the description below. Still reeling from the tragic death of their mother, a teenage girl and her little sister find themselves plagued by a sadistic presence in their house, and they struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late. The movie stars Madison Hugh and Vivian Blair, and it is directed by Rob Savage, who's recently brought us 2020's Host and 2021's Dashcam. Also, this movie is based off of Stephen King's short story from 1978 of the same name. And it nearly didn't see the light of day after being canceled during Disney's purchase of Fox. But they have revived it, and it will be coming to Hulu sometime in 2023. Straight to streaming, adapted from a Stephen King story. VHS 85 is the sixth installment of the found footage horror anthology franchise, and this time around, it features contributions from heavy-hitting directors David Brucker, Scott Derrickson, Gigi Saul Guerrero, Natasha Kermani, and Mike P. Nelson. In October 2022, Bloody Disgusting announced VHS 85 and revealed it had been shot at the same time VHS 99 was. It's set to release on Shudder sometime in 2023, so let's all cross our fingers it ends up better than VHS 99. But let's not hold our breath. They were filmed together. Night Bitch explores the feral power of motherhood. It's about a woman who thinks she's starting to turn into a dog while she's taking care of her toddler. Yes! I love a premise with insanity in it. This one stars Amy Adams, who always does a brilliant job, and Scoot McNairy, who you probably know from a bunch of other films. My personal favorite being Frank, which he played a character suffering from aglamatophilia. Look it up. Marielle Hellers is directing this, and that's got me fascinated given she directed The Queen's Gambit and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the Mr. Rogers movie. Night Bitch is set to release on Hulu at some point in 2023. I'm not married, but if I was, that's one hell of a way to say goodnight. Night Bitch! And now you probably know why I'm not married. Shelby Oaks follows Mia, who's searching desperately for her missing sister, Riley. Riley went missing along with her friends, who were a group of paranormal investigators. If you spend any time at all on YouTube, you're probably familiar with Chris Stuckman. Shelby Oaks is his baby. He wrote, produced, directed this supernatural horror mystery, and he funded the movie with a Kickstarter campaign he started on his channel. This is the only independent film on my list, and as a fellow YouTuber, I wish Chris all the success in the world. A lot of us talk about one day making our own movie, and Chris has. All the best, buddy. A roboticist uses artificial intelligence to design Megan, a lifelike doll programmed to be a child's best friend. And she gives the doll to her niece with horrific consequences, which are the best kind of consequences in these sorts of movies. Megan stars Allison Williams from The Perfection and Get Out, and Violet McGraw, who's been the cute little girl in Everything Scary for the last 5 years. The director is New Zealand's Gerard Johnstone, who also directed 2014's hilarious horror hit Housebound. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Megan's shaping up to be a demented, hilarious sci-fi horror romp, and I'm really looking forward to this one because it doesn't look like it's taking itself too seriously. It premiered December 7th in Los Angeles, and it's hitting US theaters on January 6th. While vacationing at a remote cabin, a family of 3 is taken hostage by 4 strangers who demand they make the ultimate sacrifice to avert the apocalypse.
Knock at the Cabin stars Dave Bautista, Jonathan Groff, and Rupert Grint.
And it is based off of Paul Tremblay's novel, The Cabin at the End of the World. And it's directed by M. Night Shyamalan. If you've seen any of my videos, you might already be aware that I have some issues with elements of Shammer's work. With this movie, he's apparently rewritten somebody else's script, and he's said that it's the fastest he's ever written one. I'm not sure I would have told people that as a creative person myself. Universal Pictures is releasing the movie on February 3rd. Oh, it's also got an R rating for language and violence, so there's that. Sisters Samantha and Tara from Scream 5 leave Woodsboro behind to start new lives in New York City, only to be plagued by a new streak of murders after they arrive. So they went to New York City to avoid violence and trauma. Scream 6 stars Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega again, and like the previous Scream, it is directed by Matt and Tyler again. This is the only movie on this list I won't be watching myself, as I really struggle to get through their previous effort, which has nothing at all to do with Jenna or Melissa's acting. They were great with their characters. My problem is the writing. It'll be out in theaters sometime in March 2023. Count Dracula's lackey Renfield finds a new lease on life in modern-day Nolans. That's New Orleans for the rest of you. Nicholas Hoult is playing Renfield, and Nicolas Cage is playing his boss Dracula. Awkwafina's playing the traffic cop. Chris McKay's directing, and you might know him from Robot Chicken or the Lego Batman movie. I'm excited about this one because it doesn't really make any sense. Nicholas Holt's a brilliant actor, Nicolas Cage is brilliant at what he does, and who doesn't like Robot Chicken? Bring it on, I say. Renfield releases in US theaters on April 14th, 2023. In this 5th installment of the Evil Dead franchise, Beth goes to visit her older sister Ellie in Los Angeles. But the reunion's cut short when the pair discover a mysterious book that gives rise to demonic possessions. The movie stars Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan. Try that one 5 times fast. The movie stars Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan and is directed by Lee Cronin, who brought us 2019's Irish horror movie The Hole in the Ground. They shot it in New Zealand, and the movie was originally meant to go directly to HBO Max. As a huge fan of the early Evil Dead movies, and as somebody that's seen what straight to streaming often means in the last couple of years, I'm not super hopeful for this one. It's scheduled to hit theaters April 21st, but we'll see what's happening closer to the time. 10 years after the previous Insidious films, Josh Lambert heads east to drop his son Dalton off at university, but the dream quickly turns nightmarish when the repressed demons from their past return to haunt both of them. Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, and Ty Simpkins are all returning to reprise their roles, the main difference this time being Patrick Wilson is also directing as well as starring. Lee Winnell wrote this story, and if you've seen any horror movies in the last 20 years or so, he probably wrote that one too. Fear the Dark is set to release in US theaters on July 7th, 2023. A single mom named Gabby and her 9-year-old son move into a strangely affordable mansion in Nolans. We've covered this already. When they discover the place is haunted, they contact a priest and a paranormal expert to help exorcise the place. Haunted Mansion's a supernatural comedy starring Rosario Dawson and Owen Wilson. It is directed by Justin Simien. Originally, this was meant to be a Guillermo del Toro movie, but somebody decided his script was too scary, so it was rewritten in August 2020. Couple that with the fact this is a Disney flick and you can draw your own conclusions about how much horror is going to be in this horror movie. It hits theaters August 11th, 2023. The story takes place in France in 1956. A priest is killed and evil is spreading throughout the land, as evil often does in these sorts of movies, and once again we follow Sister Irene as she goes toe-to-toe with Valak, the demonic nun monster. Thaisa Farmiga. Thaisa? No thank you. I'll do coffee. Thaisa Farmiga stars as Sister Irene again, and she's joined by Storm Reed and Anna Popplewell. Michael Chavez is directing, and you'll probably remember him from The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And apparently, the movie would have happened much sooner if it wasn't for all the coof lockdowns. It is scheduled for release in US theaters in September of 2023. The father of a possessed child, desperate for help, goes in search of anybody with similar experiences and finds Chris McNeil from the original Exorcist. Ellen Burstyn is reprising her role as Chris McNeil alongside Leslie Odom Jr. At the time of filming, the movie is yet to be officially titled. I don't know what to make of this one. The Exorcist is one of my favorite films. Ellen Burstyn's reprising her role as Regan's mother, and that's something I never thought I would see. Blumhouse Productions is involved, and that guarantees you a certain level of quality. But David Gordon Green is directing. The original Halloween is another of my favorite films, and David Gordon Green destroyed Halloween Ends as far as I'm concerned. Exorcist 2023 is set to hit theaters in October of 2023, and I'll make up my mind about it sometime between then and now. Shut up. We all know I'm gonna watch it. There's very little available in terms of premise for Saw 10, but what we do know is principal photography started in October 2022 in Mexico City. We also know Kevin Greuter is returning as director after bringing us Saw 6 and Saw 3D in 2010. We also know we'll be seeing the return of Tobin Bell, who's reprising his role as John Kramer, or Jigsaw. Is that the right voice? Jigsaw. And Saw 10 is set to hit theaters just before Halloween, October 27th, 2023. And there you have it, folks. Short list of spooky things to look forward to over the next year. If I've missed something, tell me about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and consider subscribing so I can sidestep YouTube's arbitrarily sadistic algorithm. Seriously, please, stop letting it hurt me. Until next time, folks.
It's me, Johnny, from that thing you just watched. If you enjoyed it, go down there and smash me in the face to subscribe. And if you want to watch another thing, there's one right there. Do it!